What's going on, dudes? My name is Nick. You might also know me as RJ Gaming, and welcome to the BroZone, or at least the future home of the BroZone. The BroZone is going to be a channel where me and my friends do a lot of different projects, group challenges, different things like that. But unfortunately, due to the quarantine, we're kind of stuck at home, just like you are probably stuck at home watching this video right now. But that doesn't mean just because we're stuck at home that we can't have some fun. That's kind of what this video is going to be today, to show you guys 5 different things you can do at home right now to not only have fun during the quarantine, but also get a small garden going. So obviously you can see behind me, I've got a little growing light here. I've got some different containers, and you're probably not recognizing any of this stuff. And I'm gonna show you what all this stuff is and how I made it, but that's gonna be coming up in a little bit. So this video is gonna kind of show you how you can start your seeds and create a garden with it. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably like, oh my God, are you worried there's gonna be a food shortage? No, not really. I wanted to show you guys a few things that I've been working on so that maybe you can try this too. It's a lot of fun. You can do it with a lot of different things in your house. And I'm probably gonna do another video like this showing you different things you can actually use in your house. Garlic bulbs, onion, potatoes, celery. I mean, there's so many different things you can regrow, but that's not what this video is. This video is just how to get your seeds started. Now, as I said, I normally make a garden. And starting the seeds for me is important because I live in a colder zone. In Michigan, we get very cold temperatures, and the reason I haven't started planting anything outside yet, even though it's already into April, is because usually we get at least one more freak snowstorm, and that would just absolutely kill everything in here. So I haven't dared put anything outside yet, so I wanted to get started inside so that I can get that extra month's worth of time by growing it indoors. And actually, I'm in my basement right now, so it is possible to grow indoors. So let me walk you through what I've done so far. Okay, so first up, I'm gonna show you some of the different containers that I use that you can use just as well at home. So the first one I've got here is actually a muffin tin. You can see on the bottom, you've got 4 compartments. They're normally filled with delicious muffins. Unfortunately, they've already been eaten. So what I decided to do was take them, fill them with dirt, and plant some seeds directly into the soil. Now, I used this little spray bottle and made sure that the soil was soaked. And by leaving the lid on, you can see it actually creates lots of condensation and helps to retain that moisture. It keeps the soil wet and it stops it from drying out. Trust me, just the other day, I tried starting this and I forgot to water it for a couple days, and all my seedlings died. They were starting to sprout and then they just all died off because it just dried out so quickly because I'm using a heating mat, which I'll get to later on. But the first one is this muffin tin here. Basically 4 different compartments inside here. You can actually see right there, some of the seeds are starting to pop up. I think I've got green beans on one side and regular beans on the other. The regular beans are actually from my pantry. I wanted to see if they would grow. And the green beans I had from seed from last year. So it's basically that simple. Just planted it in there. You can see this is probably after about 3 days. This is probably day 3 or 4. I think this is day 4. But having it in this container allows it to stay moist. So you don't have to water it as much, which is very important because I am very forgetful. So that's method number 1, a simple muffin tin. You got the nice lid on there. Next up, I've got something very similar to the muffin tin, but it's actually a pastry tin. So it's got a very flat bottom and it doesn't have the little compartments. So what I ended up doing with this one was basically filling the whole thing with soil and creating little rows of crops. And you can actually see back here, the cucumber plants are starting to pop up, and I'm sure the rest of this stuff will pop up pretty soon as well. So again, same exact method. Took the container, put nice potting soil in there, and I wouldn't recommend just using really crappy dirt. If you have nice potting soil or nice soil outside, definitely try to use that for your seedlings because that will actually help them grow once you transplant it into the ground. But same exact thing, use a spray bottle to make sure to get this nice and wet, and you can see all the condensation that forms on top of here, keeping it in its own little ecosystem. And you notice I have this napkin in the back here. And the reason I have the napkin is because the condensation likes to run down the back when you open it and collect in here and then kind of pour out the sides. So by putting this in here, it'll absorb the water, keep it mostly inside there, but then also allow it to wick out and dry out a little bit so you're not constantly flooding your counter. Now I did that for 2 of these. Obviously you can see cucumbers there. And over here, the exact same thing. Look at all that nice condensation. You can see where I had this on the mat, the side that was on the heat is germinating a lot faster than the side that wasn't. Unfortunately, I don't have a big enough mat to hold all this stuff at once. So I've been trying to rotate the trays every couple of days to keep it warmer. But obviously you can see the temperature of the heating mat really does help this. So that's method number 2. Again, instead of wasting the container, I just reused it and made the perfect little growing dome. Next up, I've got the top of an egg container. It's actually a trifold egg container. The eggs sat in the middle portion. The inner piece also was molded just like the eggs, and then it had this top over the top of it. And what I did is I cut 2 little slits on the side of the container here and folded it over and used a little bit of tape to tape back the little corners there and made a nice little tray. Now this one, I don't know if this is actually going to work or not. This is strawberry seeds that I gathered from a strawberry. I have no idea if this is actually going to grow or not, and if it does, it probably won't create very crazy looking strawberries, but you know, I figured it'd be worth trying. But that is another container type. Rather than just throwing it out, I was able to create a nice little container for that. Next up, we've got the rest of that egg carton that I was telling you about. So this is the 2 parts, the top and the bottom. And each one of those you see has a little egg cup shape on it. And same exact thing there, put the soil in there, put a bunch of seeds, made sure it was wet. But the problem with this one is I didn't have anything that could keep it wet. Now, originally I had this piece of plastic that was wrapped over it, but the problem was as soon as they started sprouting, they were hitting the plastic and bending over. So I needed something bigger. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different types of ways to grow your seeds with reusable containers. But with this one, I needed a way to keep it wet, because this is the one that I actually started out with that ended up dying because they're so shallow. They can't hold a lot of water. So I needed something to hold it in, and that's when I ended up making this little beauty here. I took a few different skewer sticks, so like barbecue shish kebab sticks, taped them together in the corners to make a square for the top, and made a couple legs and used a couple, as you can see, Ziploc bags to make a container that fits right over the top of this thing. So basically it completely seals it in with the help from the plastic below it, and then when I want to water it, I just kind of lift it up, spray my water in there, and it's good to go. The other cool thing about the egg cartons are the little knobs in the center. If I want to water these plants here, all I have to do is spray the water onto that little part there, and instead of spraying it onto the plants and bending them over, I just give a little water to each of those, and it'll drain down into the soil. So I figured it was kind of fun, and as you can see, it's actually working really well. I've got a bunch of tomato plants that are pretty much ready to transplant into some bigger containers, and I'm going to do that in the next video. But for now, I just wanted to go through the basics of starting your seeds. Now, I didn't do anything special here. I didn't soak these seeds. I didn't use any types of fertilizers or growth agents or anything like that. This is just literally sticking the seeds into the soil and letting them grow. I haven't tried enough personally to know if things like soaking the seeds actually work better. I know some like it, some don't. I know some plants like having sun when they're sprouting, others don't. So that's basically the end. The only last thing I have here is this growing mat. It's an 8 by 21 base. It's 20.75. I wish I would have bought the bigger one, but I normally don't even use this. I normally just grow things upstairs, but I wanted to try it in my basement this time, and I definitely needed the heat from this. So the mat has definitely helped out a ton. Like I said, I wish I had a slightly bigger one to hold everything all at once, but it has made a huge difference. And if, like I said, you don't necessarily need this. I actually did notice that since I put the heat mat on, most of my lettuce sprouted before I had the heat mat, and since I've added the heat mat, the lettuce actually hasn't started to sprout yet. I've had very spotty results, so I'm almost thinking that the lettuce probably needs a cooler temperature, and I think it does. I think lettuce is like an earlier crop that can kind of withstand some of the coldness, so I'll probably replant some of the lettuce without the mat on and see how it does. So that'll probably be coming up in another video as well. But thank you guys for joining me. Hopefully you had fun. I'm going to try to keep this as short as I can, mainly because I don't want to bore you guys with a bunch of random facts and stuff. But again, I'm not an expert. This is not what I do for a living at all. This is just something I do for fun and wanted to kind of share with you guys so you could have something to do during the quarantine. So hopefully you guys are staying safe out there. Thank you for watching the BroZone, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, everybody.